Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Theory of Racelessness YouTube channel. If you'd like to see more, make sure to like and subscribe to our channel and click the bell icon to get notified every time we post a new video. To get even more involved, feel free to leave us a comment down below and share your thoughts. We'd love to hear them. Now, enjoy the video.
My understanding of the work that you do, you work with a fair amount of racialized Black people. And I work with anyone and everyone, but my work came from my deep and sincere care for people who are racialized as Black and my desire to understand intra-group problems and fractures and to, more importantly, find solutions to those problems. So, and I think people miss about my theory that it offers a solution to people racialized as Black, because as much as we look at it as an external thing that people do to me, that doesn't change the fact that each of us on an individual level is impacted by that system, which I'm hearing through everything that you said, I'm hearing that that's true. Even in Zimbabwe, it's like, even on an individual level, people are negatively impacted by the racist ideology that has infiltrated different spaces. And we don't have to just accept it, as you said, and we don't have to suffer it. We don't have to, and we don't have to embrace it as a form of resistance. We can reject it. And in rejecting it, we can free ourselves from a lot of misplaced feelings in some ways.
Right. I think there's a confusion with people. The moment you say something is Black center, you're centering Black people or racialized people, there's an assumption that's who you serve. Interestingly, the majority of my caseload is really not Black. It's everybody else. So I wanted to clarify that I work with everyone. I just center the people who are racialized for that reason, that I have seen the need for working with someone who understands the complexities, the nuances, the layers that come with that. But otherwise, I just really work with everybody. And it's interesting when you talk about the resistance. So when you say Black is beautiful, Black this and Black that, I've come to understand that obviously as that discourse of resistance. But there's also that assumption that if I say I'm not Black, which is what I really say in most cases, there's an assumption that it's an identity crisis. I don't know who I am. I have internalized anti-Black racism or whatever. We have these assumptions that people should be this or that. And I think the moment we put people into binaries, we perpetuate the same things that we are claiming to dismantle or to fight against, to abolish, really. So it's really understanding that people are complex. It's even this racelessness walk is not linear. It's going to come with stages, from a time that you may find yourself resisting. And then at some point, as you understand, we expect people to have those paradigm shifts, that you understand that sometimes even in the context of me trying to resist, I may be perpetuating the same thing that I'm trying to challenge. So we can't really change something that we are complicit in. We can't say race is a lie, but I'm still Black and people are still white. It's like walking backward and forward at the same time, but expecting to reach your destination at whatever time you're supposed to be there. And it doesn't really work that way, I think. So yeah.
Amen. It's you and I were talking before we went live about the layers of this, because it is complicated. In some ways, it's so logical that it seems very, very, very straightforward. But it's like the more you learn, the more you venture down the path yourself, the more complicated it presents. And I'm thinking about how, firstly, I would say you're one of few people that I've seen talk about racialized white people as people who are racialized, which I think is really important. And I wanted to emphasize and highlight that because they are also racialized. And I think so long as we continue to miss that fact, then it's again this paradox of unintentionally upholding the same thing that many of us say that we want to resist or indeed destroy. And so I hope more people can hear you say that and not just hear what they might already believe, which is that only people of color are racialized. So there's that. And also I find that the sort of what I call racialist ideology, one aspect of it that I think too many people miss, and truth be told, historically speaking, in the US, it's been politicized, which encourages it to be misunderstood. It encourages people to misunderstand this. But what you were speaking about with internalized racism, and you're having a sort of being accused of having an anti-Black identity crisis and all of that. So this is something that's persistent, historically speaking, in the US up until now. If you look at American literature and primarily African American literature, then you will come to see that there's this trope of the mixed Black and white figure who is generally called mulatto or mulatta. And usually they were tragic, and they were tragic because they didn't fit and they couldn't fit into the quote unquote Black and white or white world, right? And oftentimes they were presented with this internal struggle of having to decide, are they going to reject their Black identity, or are they and embrace their white identity, or are they going to do the right thing and embrace their Black identity, recognizing the fact that that would mean that their lives would be harder. And out of that literature and the sort of fictional landscape of passing and this tragic figure, we come to recognize that people have taken this idea of being mixed, especially when it comes to being mixed with Black and white. They've bought into the metaphorical blood, right? There's white blood, there's Black blood. They've bought into it, hook, line, and sinker. And there's this belief that how your race is also going to dictate how you think about a thing, which is always interesting because it's like, how does that work? But then you come to understand it's actually because how you're racialized will inform how you might be treated in any given space. And then that might influence and inform how you think about a thing. But what what society, at least in the US, keeps to miss is that in reducing the race transcenders, as they're often called, to these people who were mixed, or in a study that was done more recently, I think it was a sociologist, I think her name is Amy Rockamore. I know Rockamore is her last name for sure. But in that study, she talks about mixed people or race transcenders. She talks about immigrants, and she talks about racialized white people. And the messaging is where you're born or how you're born racially will dictate your ability to free yourself from the strictures of racism in a lot of ways. And it's super ironic because, you know, you were an immigrant, but even if you were born in a country, as I'm a US citizen, right? I'm an American, people will still hear what I'm saying and try to reduce it to, I don't know any better, I'm being misled, I have lighter skin privilege, so there's that. They'll say I'm mixed. They'll make all kinds of presumptions about who I am and how I am. And instead of engaging with my ideas, and let's not forget the evidence that I'm bringing to the table, it's automatically that whole narrative.
Thanks for watching. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to support our channel and keep the conversation going. For more Theory of Racelessness, you can follow us on Twitter at Racelessness or use the link in the description box down below. We hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, there is still so much more to come. Until then, thank you so much from the Theory of Racelessness. Have a great day.